I'm Jessica Hampton, and this is Katie Dink, and welcome to Child Care Confidential.
Hello, hello. Today we are zooming in on big shifts in Indiana and Arkansas's childcare funding and regulation. This is happening in all subsidiary programs within Indiana and Arkansas, and a rising question: when do regulatory relief move across into dangerous deregulation?
Ooh, it is messy, and it's urgent that we talk about it, and that is why we have been talking about it the last couple of weeks. It's happening right now in several states, so we just want to talk about that today, and let's dig in, Katie.
Yes. So let's start in Indiana. On paper, the state is operating within the structure of the Federal Child Care and Development Fund, which is our CCDF that you've heard us speak so much about. But the recent maneuvers tell a different story.
Yeah, so Indiana, I feel like a lot of the providers have been thinking like, now that we see everything we've had to walk through over the last year, that the state knew this was coming before they told everybody. And so we're going to kind of walk through that timeline just a little bit, starting with July 2024, when Indiana switched to an open enrollment based voucher model, which is just different than their daily card swiping system for those families that are on subsidy. This also gave providers 16 paid closure days, which worked out well for providers because many charge by the week and not the day or the hour. So it was really hard for those that would miss a day and then the provider wouldn't get paid. So we wanted to make sure that they did that. We also in Indiana adopted a new vendor portal to make the ease of the administrative burdens. So just to make things a little easier, says Indiana.
Big parentheses.
Like, yeah, we might have a little bit different opinion, but you know.
We thought that it was going to be this grandiose opportunity for them to make this easier system. So basically what it comes down to, and what Jess was explaining, is we used to do the swipes, required the parents to do the swipes. It was this whole integrated movement. We had to like hound them to get them to swipe their card every single day for their attendance. They said, we're going to mainstream it. We're going to make it so easy. But was it actually easy? I have yet to see that.
Yeah, I didn't really think so. But, I'm not the expert in that area per the state, even though we use it every day.
But so this is 2014. We're ready. We're excited. We're like, finally, they're doing something
2024.
For us. Yes. 2024.
Going way back.
We said this is going to be so much easier for us. It's going to be mainstreamed, easy peasy, all the things.
Yep.
Fast forward to 2025. Here we are now, and we're hit with a major funding crunch. And when I say crunch, I mean the epitome of like a stop dead in your tracks. Indiana announced child care cuts to voucher reimbursement rates of 10 to 35%. Or so they thought, and that's what they told everybody. So Jess is here, I'm here. We're like, we can do this. Like, we're going to prepare for it. We're going to have time. When we first were notified of this, it wasn't going to be in 2 weeks' time that this was going to take place. They announced it. We thought we were going to have, the end of the year.
Right.
But now we turn around, and instead of the 35% crunch that we thought we were going to have, it's actually 62%. Quite a big difference.
Earlier, I think at an earlier broadcast, I said 68, and I was off just a little bit. I think we got some new numbers in with everything within our organization just because of the crunch of having to get things done so quickly. But it was at 62%. But that's definitely not 10 to 35%. So it was interesting. We talked in the last podcast about how they came to that number. If you'd like to hear more about that, make sure you listen to the last podcast because we don't want to repeat things over and over. But that number just did not add up correctly for providers. But that was the state's response to the $225 million budget gap.
Yikes. I wonder who missed the step on that one, Jess.
Yeah, I got to say, if my if I was off by $225 million, I wouldn't have a business. And you wouldn't have a job. I wouldn't have a job because that is a huge mistake. And we get that there's one pot of money.
Mm-hmm.
But it should not be at the expense of the provider. That's, I think, the biggest struggle right now that providers are facing. But let's talk a little bit more. It's not just the subsidy cuts in Indiana, not just the CCDF. It's also On My Way pre-K vouchers. The program scaled way back this school year. Next year, there's only about 2,500 seats that will be available. There were a lot more. I know our program has pulled out of the program because of the unrealistic expectations that they put on providers this year. We were huge advocates of On My Way Pre-K. We loved that it was giving everybody an opportunity to go to high quality preschools. However, the cuts this year that they have put in place, which was scaling back and also requiring providers to find a 5% grant match.
Ooh.
And we ended up having to pay half of each child's tuition each week.
That sounds fair.
I'm sorry. No, we're not doing that. So our school said we can't afford to pay half of each child's tuition. We're already trying to pay salaries and trying to give our teachers better lives. How are we supposed to do this too?
Yeah.
So that was the On My Way pre-K issue. A lot of schools have pulled back. And honestly, I'd be surprised if the program continues next school year.
Well, I don't know how they would. I don't know how they financially
2,500 seats in the whole state of Indiana.
The whole
it's
state.
Kind of a joke, right?
I mean, you're not wrong. But meanwhile, the legislator passed a bill to nudge these structural shifts. So SB 463 gives tax credits to employers who provide near-site or on-site childcare. Woo! At least we're doing something.
Something's happening, but now we got to find these employers. And I know personally we've sent out letter upon letter upon letter. So if there are employers out there listening that would like to connect with Indiana Child Cares, not just ours, but yes, we would love that. But we'd love to connect you with other child cares too that might be in your area. So message us, reach out, and we will help you find a high quality provider in your area to help match that if employers are interested.
That's a super great nugget.
Yeah,
and I think it's
like
highly
a resource.
Yeah. Especially in this day and age where I feel like there's not a lot of resources put at our fingertips. Got to spread the wealth.
Absolutely. It's not just for us, it's for all of the childcare programs.
Yeah, because it's getting hard and it's getting hard fast. And I don't think any of us really prepared for that and the multitude of effect that it's going to have.
No.
This brings us into the next point, which is the micro facility pilot program. And what this does is a small non-residential center serving 30 to 30 children, and they get more flexibility.
Yeah. So this pilot program came out and they needed, I believe it was only like 5 schools that were going to get it at the time. I could be incorrect on that.
Sounds accurate.
Putting it out there, but I do believe it was 5 schools at the time. And it was basically you could have 3 to 30 children in a school that was close to yours, a school. That's what we call our child care center.
Yes.
So a child care center, a school that was close to you, and use the same administrators and things like that that would kind of offset the cost. However, I was shocked going to the meeting on all the things that, they were looking into, and it had to be done right away. And so I think a lot of people didn't apply because you had to already have a location and a plan, and it needed to be done right away. And then, they weren't giving quite a lot to each school. So you were still stuck doing some of the renovations, doing some other things to get it going. So I know we chose not to go into that one.
But I also
But
don't think that it helps either. The fact that, again, the government gave us a short notice to do a big task. There wasn't a lot of resources or direction to be able to go like forward with it. It was
seems
one
to
of
be a
those
pattern.
weird. It's
Huh.
weird.
Right?
But yeah, they expected a lot for a little. And I don't know there's many providers out there. I mean, I'm sure there are providers out there rocking it out that probably do have plans put in place if something were to arise, but not
Absolutely.
like that. I don't think it's something that you could just snap your fingers and make happen. Normal people could not do
Well, and
that.
even if like our school runs with a savings account just because that's how we do our finances. So even if we had that in the bank at the time, finding a location that quickly in that size that's, that licensing is going to approve, and half the time you don't know what they're going to approve and not approve because it doesn't seem to line up. So it's just kind of one of those things. It's like, do you really invest all this money on a whim that the state's going to help you right now? Because
I feel like no.
I don't feel very much help. So that was
Yeah.
my big thing. Did you hear the airplane?
I did. I heard it loud and clear. Jess is obviously in a flyover state. Woo!
Hi guys. So those that don't know, I live close to an airport. So sorry.
But gearing back into what we were kind of going over, in addition to the micro school plan and kind of what we dove more deeper into that, there's also this current bill that's in the House currently. It's the 1248 bill, and it would reserve 200 CCDF vouchers, but only to foster families. So, yes, that's important. Yes, we love that you're doing that, especially for the people who are doing something so selfless on their
Yeah,
end. But that
absolutely.
doesn't really fix our problem,
Does not fix the problem.
which is super unfortunate because I
It
want to
is.
be happy and supportive and excited that we're actually doing something to better the community.
Right.
But that's such a small piece in the large puzzle. I don't know how to help you with that.
It's disappointing. Yeah. I mean, our heart goes out to the foster families that are, trying to benefit another family, trying to help somebody, and they're getting stuck with a bill right now. And that's
Not fair.
honestly, it's unimaginable. How did we get here? How did we get here? It's crazy. It's disappointing for sure.
I know that Jess was getting ready to kind of go into how we understand that as a district, we labeled it the Indiana Child Care Development Fund, and it's outside of the usual CCDF structure. But what we're seeing is a retooling of how CCDF is delivered, who's actually able to participate, and how providers are regulated, and where the cost burden is actually going to land. And I know for Jess, as a founder and owner of our schools, I'm wondering whose bottom dollar that hits first, because I know it's not us as employees.
Well, yeah, it hit mine already. No, it has not hit ours quite yet because, as everybody knows, in Indiana that is on the CCDF program, they pay 32 days in the rear. So we have 32 days before it really hits us to kind of grasp everything, start to make the changes we need to make, start to cut back our budget where we can. But the bottom line is for the small owner and the boutique in-home provider and the family-owned childcare centers, that might be a multi-site, it might be a single site, it could be a small preschool. Those are the people that are really going to feel that bottom dollar first, beyond the families. Of course, the families are already feeling it. We just get a little gap before we do. But it's going to hurt the families. It's going to hurt the kids. It's going to hurt the providers. It's going to hurt the economy.
I wonder if they realize that. I wonder if they realize the hurt, not just on the families, not just on the providers or the kiddos, but the economy as a whole. I wonder if the government is able to see it from a bigger picture, to see the small, what they see as a small divot, how that's going to explode into something much larger.
Yeah.
And everyone's going to feel the hurt from it.
I mean, they have to, right? Like, how can you not realize that childcare or the lack of childcare is going to affect the economy?
Right.
And the mental health. What about the moms that wanted to work? That
the
now
majority of
can't?
us. The
That
majority of
can't.
us.
I chose to work when my kids were younger.
Right.
It's something I enjoy doing, and I always have. But what about the mom that now can't afford to work because she can't afford childcare, and now she's. What about her mental health? Where's the answer to that? There's just too many.
I know.
What the hex?
It's getting a little intense. But Jess and I were just having a conversation actually earlier today because as if you've listened to previous podcasts, you know, Jess and I, even though that she's a remote founder and owner now, we talk all the time, multiple times a day, because she's very much in the know of what's happening. She's the biggest advocate, not only for our schools, but also for the childcare providers in our area. But when it comes to the providers in the area, we just got news today because we're on a multitude of platforms and groups, whether it be Facebook or what have you. We're now up to 4 schools just in the state of Indiana that we know of that have closed the doors due to this.
Yep.
When she says that this parent who wants to work now can't, how many parents is like that? How many parents were affected that no longer can go to work, that can no longer do what they were doing? How many does that total up to? Because I'm sure it's going to be exponential.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And with providers closing their schools, where our access to childcare is shrinking. Right now, providers in Indiana have space. They are ready to take in children. Like we've said before in our podcast, that we have 48 children on our wait list that have been approved for subsidy, but we are being told that that's not even going to open until 2027.
Oof.
48 children just ready and waiting. And we have space, but we cannot take them in because we cannot afford it on our own. And the government apparently can't afford to. Well, I don't know what they can and can't do because obviously I don't agree with what they are doing.
Well, especially with this magic
ridiculous
budget that they don't have.
Yeah. But it's also, I mean, what about the quality? We haven't even talked much about how the quality of childcare is a huge issue.
Well, do you know what the biggest piece of the quality aspect to us is the fact that we were just having the conversation. If you're a pass to quality program, which is like your state level inspection, they're no longer coming into schools. If you're a level 3 or 4, which thankfully both of our schools are, but if you're a level 4 for pass to quality, guess what? No one's coming to check a look to see if you're actually doing what you should be anymore. So as a parent, I'm concerned that there's no one checking up and following up to ensure that I'm doing what I'm saying I'm doing.
Absolutely.
And I have to think that these funding shortages and funding cuts have to play a part in it. Like they have to.
I agree. I think it's crazy. But yeah, nobody's really checking because they don't have the staff to come check on these things anymore because they are cutting things left and right. And it's things that make sure our children are safe. Recently, Indiana has increased the amount of children that people can have without being licensed, up to 7 children that are unrelated to you.
Oh, good.
Right? And all of a sudden, we're seeing all of these articles about children getting hurt in unlicensed childcares. And then I'm seeing on Chatters people popping up and going, I will watch your kid for $200 a week. And I'm going, first of all, $200 a week. You are not licensed. You don't have any of the overhead. What? It's crazy to me.
Yeah.
But let's shift a little bit on over to another state because we've talked a lot about Indiana. So let's talk about Arkansas.
Yeah. So switching on over to Arkansas. At its core is the School Readiness Assistance Program, which is their SRA. It's pretty similar to CCDF program like we have here in the state of Indiana, but it's relatively the same.
Yep, absolutely. On September 19th, 2025, the Arkansas Department of Education announced updates to rates and family co-payments effective October 1st. Does this sound familiar?
And a short timeline, too.
Everybody's saying these 2 states are the ones to look really hard at right now. I see.
Yes.
Okay. So they have created this new sliding or flat reimbursement structure, and then they reintroduced or increased copayments for certain families. Not sure how they picked which families. Doesn't that seem a little
No, it sounds
odd?
super
I don't
normal.
know.
It's what I would do.
I'm sure there were guidelines. However, we don't have those in front of us. So they flattened their tiered reimbursement just to make sure that childcare providers' incentives were reduced.
Oh, good. That's what I was really worried about.
I know we already have like a low pay, low respect job.
Yeah.
Let's just make sure there's no incentives as well.
Great. I love that. So advocates, they're going to warn the shift is going to reduce not only access, it's going to hurt providers, but it's also going to push families completely out. The Arkansas Advocates for Children and Families says specifically that the changes will make care less affordable, strain providers more, is going to cost multiple jobs, and lower the quality altogether. Again, doesn't it sound super familiar?
It really does. And so disappointing again.
But what I found specifically interesting about this little tidbit of information is there's an estimate that some providers could lose $39 per day per infant slot under this new flat rate model. And for those of you who are not like directly in childcare or have those babies in your school every single day, infants take a lot. They're one of the highest tuition rates because they cause and need the most care and the most extra that we have, really.
Absolutely. I don't know many moms out there that did 4-to-1 for infants to one person. And although that's the ratio in Indiana, it often takes extra hands than those two people in the room. I know our infant room has to be staffed with 3 people minimum most of the time, somebody that can rotate in and out and help. But then we also have directors that come running too. You know,
the baby room's their favorite. It is. It really is their favorite because I don't also know anybody that could handle 4 crying infants all by themselves that all need different things at one single time. But yet again, childcare, super easy. Super easy.
Yeah. Super easy. So there was some backlash. So Arkansas delayed parts of the changes. Well, at least they listened, kind of.
Little.
Indiana, you listening? Some reimbursement changes were postponed until November 1st, while the copay changes did happen to start in October. But the shift is still real and it's visible already. Around 16,000 children are enrolled in Arkansas's program and 1,100 remain wait-listed. Wow.
That's so
many. We got
many.
a problem, people.
I feel like at one point, people are going to start actually listening. And it's not going to be because we push these numbers. It's not going to be because we tell them all the important things that we do. It's going to have to make a huge dip for you to actually see the important work that these providers and educators do every single day for these kiddos. And once that happens, it'll become super apparent. But until then, state officials justify this by saying that current spending levels are not sustainable without deeper contributions from the state. I don't know how the state's issues is my issues, but okay. Secretary Jacob Oliva, I'm hoping I'm saying that correctly, called the prior model unstable. And I don't know how it's unsustainable or unstable if you're the ones that put it into effect in the first place.
Well, even if it was or is unsustainable. Wow, can't talk today. Even if it is unsustainable, what is your plan with this new model and how is that being helpful? Because it doesn't seem like you've created a better model, right?
I mean, yes, for someone who's looking at it forward thinking, I 100% agree, Jess, but you also have to think in the big picture. And what people are seeing is, remember, this is just a small, minute little drop in the bucket because there's only one pot of money. Only one.
Only one pot of money. We heard it in Indiana first.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, but the bottom line is Arkansas and Indiana have both pulled back and dialed back their subsidy programs so much that it is putting such a burden on the families and providers in those states. And we are asking those states' senators, please get involved, help us kind of make early childhood important again. We already work hard. Lowering ratios is not the answer, which we'll talk about as well.
You would think.
Yeah, right?
But just because we are on a podcast, we do believe in getting factual information. We do believe in hearing other people's voices. It's not just us. A lot of this information does come because we talk to other people. We speak in our community. We really want to hear from you guys as listeners and providers. But so if we interview, we would love to talk to an Arkansas or an Indiana provider who's seeing the income drop, and a parent whose copay resurfaced or got more expensive. And I'd like to ask, would you stay in the program under this rate? Like, is that sustainable for you like it is for the state and its unsustainable rates? And what trade-offs are you making now that you have to decide between quality education or your job? Like, give and take, I guess.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. But yeah, we'd love to hear from some people in those situations, just to kind of do an interview so that we can get your stories out there more and more. Providers, it's so important too that you get involved. We've seen a lot of things happening over the last few weeks. There's been people down at the Capitol buildings. There's been people at the state houses trying to make early childhood important again all across the states. So you just need to get involved. Write the letter. Go to the meeting. Go show up at the event. But if you're not saying anything and you're just getting behind a keyboard, that's not really the answer.
It's not going to benefit.
We need to do this smart. We need to be heard, and we need to do it smart. So show up to the events.